Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to show you the best big in the game. I'm going to stop being nice. I'm going to do my best to stop being nice and just call it like how I see it. I think that would be one, it'd be more honest and it'd be more true. I'm just going to call it like how I see it. You're looking at one of the best bigs in the WNBA. Okay. Now you might say, oh, the numbers don't say that. No, no, no. From potential, just off of potential in the eye test, I'm telling you right now, this is one of the best bigs, if not the best big in the WNBA. She is also the reason why Mr. Jonathan Kolb is probably GM of the decade. Okay, this is Nyara Sabally. We're going to get into a little bit of her gameplay. We're going to break down some of the things she does really well and some of the things I need to see her improve on, because this is dominance. Okay, first play of the game. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. First possession, she gets Stephanie Talbot on her. Now, most players that guard her, here's the thing. There aren't a lot of centers that can actually hang with her because her skill set is so versatile. She's a big body, strong within her frame, guard skills, great finishing ability, right and left hand, right? So she gets Talbot on her. Boom, feed me in the post. Talbot flies off of her. That's German engineering right there. I'm going to keep saying this because, again, I don't know if anyone from the New York Liberty watches my videos or if the players are watching my videos, but I'm going to say this again. Coach Sandy, tap in, please. The Sabrina Sabally connection, it's lethal. So check out Nyara on this pick and roll again. Boom, catches the ball against Derek Hamby, puts the ball on the ground. Probably should have saved that dribble, but I get it if she was off balance, right? This could have been a drop step on Derek Hamby, but Derek Hamby hacking anyway. So anyway, we turn, we put this shot up. Boom, we're able to get the rebound back and one layup. You wouldn't even tell she was fouled. If Nyara Sabally is able to improve on her weaknesses, and some of the weaknesses I see just being an on-ball defender, guarding shorter players, some of her post defense ability as well. If she's able to turn some of these weaknesses into strengths, I promise y'all it's an all-star berth from here on out for the rest of her career. Okay, so let's take a look at her. She gets switched on to Odyssey Sims here. Now, Nyara has a really bad habit as well. I know I get on Benaja Laney Hamilton and Sabrina Ionescu a lot for this, but playing defense with your hands out, playing defense with your hands up. Once again, I will say this: Nyara Sabally, put your hands down. You cannot play defense or move effectively with one hand, two hands up, or one hand, two hands out. You cannot move effectively with the hand out. Now, as a big, most bigs lack lateral mobility. Now, Nyara doesn't really lack that, understand, okay? But the reason her putting her hands out is so detrimental to her defense is because she also has a bad habit of playing defense on her heels, right? Now, let me just try to help everyone out here, okay? A lot of this doesn't get taught because most of the time, we're not being taught about defense. I don't think education on defense, on basketball defense, is really as thorough and as in-depth as it should be. We learn a lot more about offense in basketball than we do defense, okay? But let me try to help everyone out here, including Nyara Sabally. Your defensive stance, you got to think of your feet and you got to think of your lower legs as pistons, right? One's going up, one's going down. So think of your forefoot hitting the front of the ground, and then think about how your other foot could basically be flat on the ground. Now, your feet should never both be flat on the ground, but if they're like pistons, then one's going up, one's going down, one's going up, one's going down, right? Now, Nyara, again, she plays defense on the back of her heels a lot, right? And the reason this is so bad for her defense is because if you play defense on your heels and now you're also putting your hands out, you're putting your hands up, you're basically just throwing yourself all the way off balance. Now, the way to know if you have a really good defensive stance, again, I don't think this gets taught enough, but the way to know if you have a good defensive stance, or if you want to know what your defensive stance should be or what it should look like, imagine yourself in a triple threat position. Right? Imagine you have the ball, you're in a triple threat position, you got it on either your left hip or your right hip. Now imagine driving, like that one little moment before you load up to drive right, and that one moment you load up to drive left. That is your defensive stance. It's basically your triple threat stance. So if you are not in basically a triple threat stance on defense, then you're probably going to be shifted, right? Again, I just don't think that gets taught enough. Here's an easy way to test it out. And we're going to see this in Nyara's gameplay as well. If you're in a good defensive stance, if someone were to throw the ball at you randomly, would you be taking a step back or would you be taking a step forward? So I want Nyara Sabally to watch players like Drew Holiday, Derek White, Hannah Hidalgo. Al Horford is probably the most comparable or most compatible to her gameplay. But watch these players as they're in their defensive stances, right? Does it, if they were to catch the ball, does it look like they'd be taking a step back and they'd be falling over? Or would it look like they'd be able to take that ball and go right to the end of the court for a layup? All right, so let's watch Nyara Sabally here as she has one hand out already on Odyssey Sims, but check this out. Boom, Odyssey shifts already right between her legs. Look at Nyara Sabally's stance. If I were to throw Nyara Sabally a ball right now and she were to catch it, would she be taking a step back or taking a step forward? Right? So already we're off balance. So we have to put that hand down. Nyara Sabally has to understand that her presence is enough. And as a big, as an athletic big, your presence is enough. Your presence accounts for a half contest on a shot. The full contest comes when you put your hands up. But sometimes as a big, just being there is enough. Just being in the vicinity is enough, right? So we shouldn't be too concerned about playing defense with our hands out or showing our hands, because as long as you're there, as long as you're in that radius, that's enough, right? So now it's an easy cross. Odyssey Sims is able to get to her bag. Nyara Sabally is off of her heels. Can't really get a full contest on this shot. Easy bucket for Sims. I understand that the coaching and, the offensive sets, whatever, probably might not allow Nyara to have that perfect green light as well, but I do want to see a little bit of selfishness when it comes to Nyara Sabally, especially when we have mismatches, right? Again, I don't think the team is really telling the players this, but a lot of the time Nyara has a mismatch. A lot of the time there aren't many bigs that can hang with Nyara. And if I'm being perfectly blunt, I have not seen one that can hang with Nyara yet. Okay, so as she's here and she runs this pick and roll set for Sabrina and ends up with the ball, she doesn't realize that she has Odyssey Sims on her. So when we kick this ball back out to Sabrina, if we realize that we have a guard on us, the first thing we should be doing is running straight to the paint and trying to put Odyssey Sims in trouble, right? Because what most teams will do when they see that, oh, they have a major mismatch, they'll get scrambled. And sometimes you don't even have to receive the ball in the post as the mismatch to run the best offensive option. It's the fact that the defense is so scrambled and they're so concerned with the mismatch that they forget all of their other assignments. So you basically free up another offensive option just because you were aggressive in your call for the ball with the mismatch, right? So as she has Odyssey Sims on her right here, she doesn't realize it and basically just tries to run another pick and roll with Sabrina. But this is where I'd want to see a little bit more court awareness, a little bit more selfishness, because once you have that guard on you, you should be trying to exploit that immediately. So here's Nyara flexing a little IQ on defense. But again, as I always say, put your hands down. Nyara Sabally, put your hands down. You can't play defense effectively with one hand up or two hands up or one hand out or two hands out. When we play defense and our arms are up or our arms are out, we are sacrificing our mobility, we're sacrificing our strength, and most importantly, we're giving up our balance. All right. So if we play roller coaster defense, one, you shouldn't be too keen or too pressed to play roller coaster defense because you should be protecting your rib cage anyway. The reason your hands shouldn't even be up that high is because if someone were to drop their shoulder into your chest or drop their elbow right below your rib cage, all air is gone. And now you're messed up. You get what I'm saying? A lot of the time, the reason I preach not to put your hands up on defense all the time is because a lot of the time it has to do with protecting yourself. If someone were to go into you, someone were to elbow, shoulder your sternum, you're going to be knocked back if both your hands are up in the air. So one, protect yourself, right? 9 times out of 10 right here, that's a foul, right? But that happens because we gave up our mobility. We gave up our positioning by playing roller coaster defense, right? So it doesn't get called, but again, we're playing defense with our hands up. Can't do that. So here's another example of the same exact thing, right? Regarding Lee Yuru in the post. So Lee gets it, and look at this. Ball is on the ground, and watch Nyara's hands. Roller coaster defense already. Our hands are already up, and Lee Yuru has not gathered the ball yet, right? Watch Lee Yaru's elbow now. Elbow goes straight into the rib cage. We can't do anything about that because our arms are up, right? So again, it has to do with protecting yourself just as much as it has to do just as much as it has to do with being on balance, being able to contest the shot, being able to move effectively, right? So boom, Lee Yaru gets the elbow. We're already off balance. We're falling one way. She goes the other. Easy layup for Lee Yaru. So we cannot play defense with our hands up. We have to stay strong within our frame.